Alright, today has been a bit of a crazy. Whoa. Sorry. I just realized I had my finger on the mic. I'm not refilming that. Sorry. You can do. Today's been just a really crazy day though. I don't know if it's the moon. So I literally just got back from a camping trip. First off, I thought I had posted videos, like scheduled videos for y'all. I hadn't. My apologies. And then I have two lights that I normally have on. Only one of them's working all of the sudden, which is really hilarious because my last videos, I had like two or three of them were out of the middle of nowhere. They were like my lights were going on the frets, like Spirit was screwing with the lights. Craziness. So yeah, then I couldn't find my mics. I just spent 15 minutes looking for them. So that was loads of fun. The dog that is normally with me is not in the room, and the dog that never comes in for readings, because I have two dogs that live in my house, she is in the room laying down by the door. I'm not really sure what's going on. Like, everything is just a little bit wonky today, but here we are. So I'm in a reading mood. Ooh, so that's what we're gonna do. So this, I keep getting told no. All right. Before I dive into this, I'm going to do a really quick prayer, and then we're going to see what Spirit has in store. Okay. Right out of the gate, I've done a reading like this before. I can't remember how long ago it was, but I want to say it was maybe 3 or 4 readings ago. I did a reading where I started the reading exactly the same way I'm going to start this one, because there was a protection prayer that was being said. As I was doing my prayer, there was a protection prayer that was overlaying the prayer that I was saying. So some of you in this collective might actually be seeking more protection, or looking for more protection, or looking for ways to be more protected. Okay, we start off with the 5 of Pentacles, okay? Dealing with a poverty-laden mindset. Hold on. Before I dive into this, I just want to make sure that I have a clear picture here. Okay, so we start off with the 5 of Pentacles. Upright, we've got the 5 of Wands reversed. We've got the Empress, the Page of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. Okay. This collective, in the past, you have dealt with conflicts around money, conflicts in your relationships regarding money, regarding finances. There's been conflicts specifically, I'm being told, around your career and how you are choosing to make money. So this could be something along the lines of maybe, someone doesn't like how you go and make money, or someone isn't appreciating the work that you're doing for them and they don't want to pay you for it, or someone thinks that the job that you're doing is like not a job that's worthy of being paid for, or it's like not a legitimate job. Okay, this is especially true if you're in the creative sphere, which typically if you're watching this type of video, you're going to be in the creative sphere to some degree, to some extent. Okay, so it's going to be something along those lines. Okay, with the Empress coming up upright, all right, and then you've also got the Page of Pentacles. Really want to say congratulations for not listening to the naysayers. That's what I want to tell this collective. You guys you've got the Queen of Swords here. A lot of you have cut through the bull. You've really actually legitimately worked on your mindset. You've really worked on not giving an F about all these other people at the end of the day. Okay. A lot of people don't see, a lot of the people, hold on. I made a mistake. hold on, that's a me error, and I'm being corrected. A lot of these people who are your naysayers don't realize where it is you came from. Okay? They don't realize what it is you've been through. They don't know the full story. And I want to say that I really hate doing this because terminology gets moved around a lot. But I want to say that some of you have been dealing with narcissistic type of people, or people who've got narcissistic tendencies. Okay, so people who are like really self-absorbed and are projecting onto you. Okay, so they're projecting aspects of themselves onto you, and they're trying to recreate your life, your story onto you. And you have separated yourself, you've put up boundaries, you've separated yourself from these people, and you've said, like, that's not who I am. And if you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But you don't know my story, you don't know my past, you don't know my history, and whatever warped version that you believe you know, that you think you know, that you project that you know onto me, that's not actually the reality, okay? And you've really done the very hard, very difficult work of trying to change your mindset. I don't want to say trying. There's a word I'm looking for. You have worked really hard to change your mindset, and you continue to work to do that. Does that make sense? You haven't, it's not like you're done, right? You're still in the process of doing this, but you have come such a long way. And I feel like this collective, there's really no one there that is giving you that like round of applause. So I'm here to give you that round of applause, because changing your mindset and changing the way that you view things and changing how you view things is actually a really difficult thing to do. It's funny because I just did that and I completely forgot what I was saying. Gaslighting might also be a part of it, right? Now you're standing up to the gaslighting that's being projected onto you. Okay, you've realized, oh hey, this is gaslighting at its finest, and that doesn't work on me anymore. Ooh. Shuffling error. Sorry. Yeah. There's a huge congratulations that is in order for this collective. I do want to say that this collective, most likely, you're not where you want to be, but you're a lot better than where you were. And you need to acknowledge that. You need to acknowledge that progress that you've had in your life. And you need to acknowledge the impact that that has had. And how you have overcome that. I don't really like it when they throw the cards to the ground. Okay. So we've got Wheel of Fortune. How fitting. The Wheel of Fortune. Of course, because the Wheel of Fortune is always turning. Okay, this could be physical material, like you are in a place of destitution with this 5, okay, poverty, right? This collective, I do want to say, has seen the other side of the tracks, right? Some of you also might have been told your entire life that you were born on the wrong side of the tracks, okay? There's actually, so I have a family member that I was really close to who 20 years ago on Sunday, the 7th of June, passed away. And his passing hit me really, really hard. Like really, I still cry about it 20 years later. Really hard. And this was someone who, this is giving me, this is probably why I'm led to talk about this. It's giving me this type of energy. It's just someone who was born on the wrong side of the tracks, right? This person was born in a poor city in the United States, in Iowa. Okay, so not like any big sort of state. Okay, it's not like California or something. Like, they were born on the wrong side of the tracks in a small town, population of like 600 in Iowa. Okay, and they were raised really poor. They had basically like a 3-room house. All of him and his siblings had to sleep together in a single room, basically all the way up until he was about 17 years old. He served in the army. Him and his brothers all served in the army. But he's the definition of like the wheel of fortune changing, this rags to riches, right? Right? He did some amazing stuff, worked really, really hard. I as an aside to this, do want to say this. When you hear the term rags to riches, a lot of people think that this is a story of like, oh, this person was handed a whole pile of money and then they just went off and did good things with it. And they forget that a true rags to riches story involves a lot of hard work. And it's not a like gift. It requires a lot of hard work. It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of failure and a lot of success simultaneously, right? Failure is just another breed of success at the end of the day. Okay, it's leading you closer to your goal, and that's success. That's successful. So, anyways, yeah, this person, you know, the wheel of fortune turned eventually, and by the time of their passing, they had a good amount of material possessions, and you wouldn't have known that they had been brought up and raised in this really small town in Iowa on the wrong side of the tracks. But they never forgot. Okay, humbleness is something this collective needs to hold on to. Okay, I also find it interesting because we also have the Emperor energy here, and that's the energy that this person that I'm talking about would have embodied. This is very like steadfast energy, this grounded type energy. Okay, this assertive energy, and this collective is working towards being a bit more like that. You've struggled with this, right? You've got the 9 of Wands. This collective has really struggled with this. You've struggled with the boundaries. You struggled with speaking up for yourself. You struggled with using your voice. You struggled with articulating yourself. And I'm hearing like quick thoughts. How do I describe this? When there's confrontation, okay, this, right? When there's confrontation, people either shut down and they kind of just don't respond, especially when it's consistent confrontation with the same person, or they learn to speak up for themselves, right? And it's a trainable skill, in my opinion at least. It is a trainable skill to learn to do that. And this collective has worked specifically to train themselves to go and to learn how to speak up for themselves. You've learned to quicken your mind so that when you are being berated by people or by this person, trust me, I said people. Okay, maybe it's more than one person. That sucks. That sucks. But when you are being berated, when you're being projected on, all of that stuff, right? You've learned to attune your mind and to speak up more and to fight back, basically, with your voice. Okay, but it's taking you time. You're still working on it, okay? Because if you were really successful at it, this card would be upright because you'd be very clear in your boundaries, okay? Your boundaries, you're still struggling with this collective, okay? It'll come. Okay, that all comes in due time. But I think you need to understand too, it does take time. It's not something that just comes out of nowhere. Okay, it does take time for this to happen. Okay. Um, yeah. It's interesting I've been talking kind of about this narcissistic type of energy, because then we've got this mimicry coming out. And this usually, this type of energy in this card reminds me of when someone takes a point that you make and then turns it around back on you, right? Or like almost this mockery, right? This card sometimes also reminds me of mockery. It doesn't say that, but the way the crow is and how it's like lording over the dog, and the crow's mouth is open, like cawing at the dog. I guess that's how you would say that. Cawing at the dog, or over the dog, almost like mocking the dog, like I'm up here and you can't get me, That's the type of energy, right? A bully type of energy, really, at the end of the day. And that's what narcissism and people who lack emotional intelligence, people who haven't done the inner healing, who haven't done their inner child work, who are stuck in this, more teenage type of body, this more teenage type of energy. That's what they do, right? They tend to mock. They mock that which they do not understand, right? They mock that which they don't know. They mock that which they don't understand. They belittle what they don't understand, okay? Because they try to place themselves higher up in the grand scheme of things. They try to place themselves above everyone else, because that's the only way they know how to. It's the only way that they know how to take control, or attempt to take control. Make it feel like they're in control, okay? We have community and we've got memory. I really like this because these two cards together make me think of remember your community. Like, remember that there's others like you, right? A lot of this collective, the way these two cards came up with community first and then memory afterwards, it's giving me this sense that either you've sought some level of support, okay? So this could be support for your financial situation. This could be support for this, like a therapist, like for your own mental health. This could be support in how to manage this other person, or in the unfortunate circumstance that it's multiple people, these other people. But there's this feeling of, finding a community and remembering where it is you come from, and remembering that you have that community to lean on. You're not as alone as maybe sometimes you think you are, as sometimes you feel you are, right? Right? This card here, do you remember what I was saying about earlier in this reading? I was talking about how people forget that the whole rags to riches story, a true rags to riches story, usually comes with a lot of hard work and dedication. This card's reminding me of that, right? The first thing I heard was, oh, well, they just got lucky. You just got lucky. Not everyone has your level of luck. That's what I heard, right? When this card came out, as I'm looking at it, that's what plays in my head, right? And remember that's what people say when they don't want to put in the hard work and dedication that you have. When they're not seeing the work, because they have a vision in their mind of how they think that something should look, how they think that specific type of work should look, they will turn around and they will say, oh, well, you just got lucky. Here's your reminder that whatever project it is you're working on, wherever it is you are in life, whatever has been that you have overcome, hasn't been luck. It's been hard work. It's been dedication. It's been sitting down in very long hours, right? They're showing me like midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, like spirit showing me like you're like over, like, what is this, kitchen table or something? You're over a kitchen table and you're like heart, like concentrating, and then you're going to bed, and then you're getting up, and then it's like you're going to work, and then you're working on the side project, or you've got kids, and then like there's so much, and no one's seeing that. No one's seeing these other aspects. They're just focusing on the end result. And then they're turning around and saying, oh, you just got lucky. There's a reminder here to remember that that's not the case. Don't internalize that message. Don't internalize these things that other people are saying about you, because most of them aren't true. These people who are saying this ish, they're not the ones that did what you did. They're not the ones that had to be where you were. They're not the ones that had to fight the fights that you had to fight at the end of the day. So what do they know? What do they know? Life's a journey, not a destination, as cliche as that is. And I know that there's going to be people who are going to watch this and they're going, I know, no. Yeah, life's a journey, not a destination. I get it. Believe it or not, I do get it. It's difficult, and I've heard it a lot, and there's been times in my life where I've said the same thing, where I've been like, I know, life's a journey, not a destination. I'm just not enjoying this part of the journey. Right? And that's the situation. Sometimes you're not going to enjoy the journey. Sometimes we have bad trips. Okay? I just came back from camping. It was not honestly the most enjoyable camping experience I've ever had in my life. I'm gonna be brutally honest. I didn't particularly like the campsite I went to. I went to a designated camping ground, which also I don't always do. I didn't particularly like the campsite. It was raining 2 out of the 3 days that I was there. It was pretty cold at night, actually. So cold that even my little dog that was with me came into the sleeping bag with me, which he doesn't do often, unless he's very cold. I didn't get any fish. I had no bites. I had no luck fishing. No one actually I talked to had any luck fishing. It was just not the greatest experience. I went on a hike. I fell down. Kind of injured my hip, hurt my back. Then I had to rest basically the rest of the day. Didn't finish the hike that I wanted to do. Wanted to go back and do it later on. Couldn't, because my hip was absolutely killing me. But that's just how life is sometimes. And it doesn't mean, oh, I'm never going to go camping again because this one experience I had that was over the span of 3 days was absolutely not that great. No, it's just the reality of the situation, and life's a lot like that. Every day is its own adventure, it's its own journey, and sometimes it's just not that great. But these people, they don't see it that way. Okay? These are the judgmental type. These are the belittling type. And they don't believe that life's a journey. And they don't believe in spirituality. And they don't believe in tarot. And they don't believe in any of this. And they don't have a firm foundation. And they don't have firm spiritual beliefs. I also feel like this collective has really worked on their spirituality. I'm being told to pull one card from this deck. I feel like this collective, you've got a pretty decent hold on your spirituality, or you've leaned into it, you've trusted it a bit more. Is that what they're showing me? Wow, that you've trusted it a bit more? You've leaned into it a bit more than in the past. In the past, you pushed it away and something shifted. They're leading me back to this card, the Queen of Swords. Something shifted in this mindset that you have, where you decided you were going to lean into spirituality for help instead of pushing it away. And it changed how you handled problems, how you handled conflict, and the peace that you have. The holiest temple. Look at this card. This is such a beautiful card on so many levels. I want to break this card down for you so you can see what I'm seeing as I look at this card. This collective, you're in the process of rebirthing yourselves. Okay? So, without getting too graphic, Okay, imagine this as the birth canal. This is you coming out and rebirthing yourself, your own rebirth, your own new intuition. However, this also is giving me, I'm going to keep it like this because actually I think you might be able to see it better. If you follow the edge, don't get caught up with the inside of this, just follow the edge. It's also reminded me of the right and left hemispheres of the brain. I have a background in psychology, for those of you who don't know, so bear with me. And so there's almost this, with this pillar of light, there's almost this unity coming back in on connecting these two parts. You've got the logic part, you've got the spiritual part. And before, you mentally had these two parts of your brain at odds with one another. You know, they were almost separated. It was either you were spiritual or you were scientific, you were logical. And you've worked on changing the mindset and changing the way you view things and integrating these two aspects. You're working on integrating them. I don't think that this collective has finished integrating them yet, but you're working on integrating these two aspects, the logical materialistic mind and the spiritual mind, together so that they're in harmony, so that you can look at the world in a much more unbothered and peaceful state. Okay, if I look at this woman, I told you I was going to break this card down because I want you to see everything that I'm seeing when this card popped up. This was like all the things that immediately stood out to me. Dancing in the Rain. It's actually a song, Dancing in the Rain by Mordecai Shapiro. You might want to listen to that song. You know, that's a pretty good song. But this is giving me Dancing in the Rain. You know that Whitney Houston. This is giving me Whitney Houston vibes. I hope you all know who Whitney Houston is. I hope I'm not that old that you're like, Whitney Hugh? Yeah, this is giving me these like Whitney Houston vibes. There's actually a music video, and I wish I knew the song, but I'm pretty sure Whitney Houston has has a music video. Interesting that now is when they're trying to block my voice. That might have something to do with it. So maybe something around the story of Whitney Houston. You guys might want to look that up. Some of y'all might resonate with her story. She's got very unfortunately tragic, but interesting story as well. And then there's this golden light, right? All these golden lights. You've got the white pillar, the connection, right? Grounding to the earth, but connecting to spirit. And all this white light, or sorry, this golden, I guess it appears more white in the camera, but this is more of a golden in the sides here, these golden little balls here, these golden balls, right? Your ancestors are here. Your guides are here. You're protected spiritually all the time. You can ask for help from these people all the time. Your ancestors are there to help you. Your guides are there to help you. Your loved ones, they're there to help you, right? And they're there. They're supporting you, guiding you, cheering you on all the time. Okay, some of you might struggle with that message. So where is it that you're holding that? That's going to be where your block is. Okay, so for those of you that when I said, what did I just say? Ancestors are supporting you. Some of you are going to have resistance to that. I'm being told that when you have resistance to that, you need to feel into that resistance. Where is that resistance being held? In your body. That's where you need to heal. Potentially physically, but spiritually, energetically. That's where you need to focus your healing, in that area. So you need to focus, if it's in the heart, sorry, I just whacked the mic. If it's in the heart space, what do you need to open your heart up to? If it's in the stomach space, what do you need to trust? What do you need to believe? What do you need to intuit into? Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. What do you need to do more of, right? Yeah. The holiest temple is your soul. And it's your embodiment of the soul in this life. How you do it, how you treat it, what you do with it. That's the holiest temple. And no one can take that away from you. That's the important part. No one can take your soul from you. unless you let them. Don't do that. They can't take that. They can't take your essence from you. There's a word for this. Oh, man. I wish I could remember this. This is what happens when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, folks, and then you decide to do a reading at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's actually a word for this. When someone is they're projecting so hard into your life. Swapping timelines, is that it? Oh, anyways, there's a term that's used by readers sometimes in the community, where basically you have people that are trying to swap places with you. They're trying to manifest that your life is their life and their life is your life. And this is the reminder that that ain't happening, honey. No, that's not. We've got Madonna vibes over here, okay? Like, you're not messing around with nobody, okay? That's not happening, right? And they can try, and they can try, and they can try really, really hard, and they have. They're not going to be successful. They haven't been successful thus far. They're not about to be successful now. And anything you build is yours. It's not theirs. They can try to claim it, but they didn't do the work for it. They can try to claim it, but they don't know all the ins and outs of it. They can try to claim it, but they don't have all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you've got. I was just explicitly told, I'm going to say this out loud because I've never been told to finish a reading in this specific manner. I was just explicitly told verbatim, you are finished here, wrap it up. I've never been told to finish a reading with that phrase, that type of reading. Usually I'm like, okay, it's much more lax. Like, usually Spirit will say, okay, you're all done now, or there's no further messages, or all's good. The people who've got the message, they're here. Like, the message is sent, it's much more lax. But this is a very clear, like, you're finished. Wrap it up. So I'm not actually good at wrapping readings up if you've been around for a little bit. So on that note, wrap it up. You're finished, wrap it up. Maybe that's part of the message. No more. Just wrap it up in a nice little bow. And know that you did the best with the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, the guidance that you had in that moment. And sometimes you do better to leave things well enough alone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.